Hello everyone, and thank you so much for your interest in joining our presentation. We're very sorry we couldn't make it in person to meet you all there, but I hope you find this recording useful. Today I'm very pleased to share that this work from King Salman Global Academy for Arabic Language, which is an academy from Saudi Arabia that support the Arabic language and support different initiatives and projects related to the advancement of the Arabic language locally, globally, and internationally. One of them is Hamza. Hamza test for academic purposes is a proficiency test for speakers of other languages other than the Arabic language, used usually in higher education. And I want to begin my presentation with the central concern behind this presentation, especially in higher education. A language score is rarely just a score. It may influence admission, placement, progression, or the support a learner receives. So for this reason, this presentation doesn't treat Hamza only as a test development project. It treats it as an assessment system in which scores must support interpretations and decisions that are defensible, fair, and educationally useful. Hamza has now, since it was launched late 2023, has reached more than 6,000 learners, which means that the question is no longer theoretical. The score use argument that is really operating in real institutional context. So the core message is simple, but it's also demanding. A test can produce scores, but responsible assessment asks what happens after those scores are produced. What do institutions infer from them? What decisions do they make? And what support follows for learners? The argument we develop today is therefore not simply that Hamza measures academic Arabic for speakers of other languages. The stronger claim is that Hamza scores should be interpreted through a validity and fairness argument, one that connects construct definition, the framework that we are using, alignment, the standard setting, the score profiles, and institutional use. So why this matters in higher education? In higher education, we usually raise the stakes because language scores often become institutional decisions. They may determine whether a learner enters an Arabic medium program directly or receive prep language support, it should be, or the student should be placed in a particular level, or is judged ready, or this student judged to be ready to progress. So this creates two risks. The first is over-interpretation. A small difference in a score may be treated as a meaningful difference in academic readiness. The second is reduction. A single overall level may hide very uneven skill profile. So a learner may understand lectures and readings but still need substantial support in academic writing, for example. So this is why validity, fairness, and consequences are not abstract principles here, especially in language assessment. They are practical conditions for responsible decision making. Hamza, as I mentioned at the beginning, is a standardized proficiency test. It's also computerized based test of academic Arabic for learners of Arabic as an additional or second language. It assesses four main skills: reading, writing, speaking, and listening, and reports performance from A2 to C1 on a CFR scale. The CFR is the Common European Framework of References for Languages, and its intended uses include admission, placement, progression, and targeted learning support in Arabic medium higher education. So a key point for this validation argument is that productive skills are human rated. This means that the scoring quality, rater training, moderation, and clear reporting are not technical details. They are central scores of validity and fairness evidence that in Hamza, we need, at the academy, we need to make sure that they are valid and reliable. So the purpose of our presentation is to examine how Hamza scores are interpreted and used, not only how the test is built. So the guiding question here is, are score interpretations and resulting decisions defensible, fair, and useful for our learning? And to answer that, this study is organized around four strands of evidence. Design evidence addresses the construct, evidence comes from learner and supervisor monitoring. Use evidence considers how scores inform placement, support, and progression. These strands are not equally mature yet, and we will be explicit about where the current evidence is strong and where the next evidence phase is needed. And for this, let me show you here some operational reach and analytical sample of Hamza since it was first launched. Operationally, Hamza has been administered to more than 5,900 test takers since it was launched in 2024 across more than 100 nationalities, and over 50 sessions were administered, and more than 60 participating organizations that shows that the test is functioning at a scale. And here, the test structure reflects a balanced, as I mentioned, four skills of academic Arabic proficiency: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. And we gave each of those scales a weight of 25% in our test. The receptive components include 30 listening items and 40 reading items, while the productive components include 1 extended writing task and 4 speaking tasks. The key point is not the number of those tasks alone. The key point is construct representation. Hamza is designed to represent the language demands of academic study, for example, lectures, academic readings, seminar discussion, and academic writing, and different skills in the academic environment. because academic readiness is multidimensional, and the overall score should always be interpreted alongside the skills or the skills related to the language. CFR alignment is used here to support the transparency and shared interpretation, of course, but it is not treated as a mechanical label matching. What I mean by that the CFR gives institutions and learners a common language for describing the proficiency. We have based our test from the beginning and the levels based on the CFR scales, but at the same time, Arabic academic assessment requires some localization, and also we need to consider the characteristics or the different characteristics of the Arabic language. That's why we use the CFR as the roadmap, but at the same time we did consider all the characteristics of the Arabic language. So 3 issues are especially important: the relationship between modern standardized Arabic and the spoken varieties. We took those into consideration. The script and the orthographic processes and the discourse demands of academic Arabic. Therefore, when Hamza score is reported as A2 or B1 or C1, that label should be understood as an evidence-based interpretation supported by test design and supported by standard setting, not as a simple conversation from just a raw score. For the cut scores that actually took time until we got like reasonable numbers to do the study. So the cut scores showed here in front of you are central to the interpretation of our argument. For listening, reading, and speaking, the standard setting process used was like yes-no modified Angoff approach. Expert judges considered whether a minimally component learner at a given level would be expected to answer each item correctly. But for the writing, the cut scores were set through the rating scale and rubric. The overall thresholds, as you can see, for each level, A2, for example, the overall 142, of course, out of 200, and B1 153, and so on. All those between 130 to 200 score scale. These values make level reporting possible, but they must be also interpreted with care, especially at the beginning of our establishment of the test. And if we look at this example extracted here, the score profile shows that most examinees in the analytical sample are concentrated around A2 and B1 as an overall, with fewer examinees at the upper level or the lower end. This is useful information for institutions because it tells us where the center of the applicant population currently sits in relation to the Arabic language. However, the main message is caution. A CFR level is not a complete academic readiness profile, and two learners with the same overall level may have very different strengths and needs. That's why also we look at each skill separately. Also because representations at C1 from the results we get at the C level is limited, and advanced level interpretation should be made carefully until more evidence is available. So we do have some potential and good level of what we're doing, but we're continuing to do more and more of the studies until we are very confident of our results. In this slide, it shows why a single overall level is not enough, and because we did get some questions about why don't we have just an overall score. The pattern is clear. This here as you can see from this previous slide and this one. Sorry, I couldn't go back. The pattern that the receptive skills are generally stronger than the productive skills, like around sorry, I can't go back. Around I think 91% of examinee reach B1 or B2 in listening, and around 64% do so in reading. By construct, approximately 65% are at A1 or A2 in writing, and 69% are at A1 or A2 in speaking. So this has direct educational implications that a learner may be able to follow lectures and read academic material while still struggling to write Arabic as an academic response or participate in academic Arabic spoken interaction. Therefore, score reporting shouldn't stop at the overall level. It should identify skill-specific support needs, especially in writing and speaking. Speaking of the validity as an argument, for Hamza, the current evidence supports several links in that chain. The academic construct, the 4-skill design, the CFR-informed interpretation, and the descriptive score patterns. Other links require further development, including reliability by skill, rater agreement, and severity evidence for writing and speaking, and classification consistency near each cut score, which is something we are doing, and we are getting more and more reliable results. This doesn't weaken, of course, what we are doing, but it makes the validation agenda explicit. From the access to the consequences in terms of fairness. Fairness shouldn't be reduced to the absence of a statistical bias. In language, especially in language assessment, the argument is a bit different. Fairness includes access. It includes opportunity to demonstrate ability. It also related to transparency of a score, meaning appropriate score use and monitoring of consequences. This is especially important in Arabic because learners may differ widely in prior exposure to modern standard Arabic or academic literacy and spoken varieties of Arabic and diaglossia. A fair system must therefore help institutions avoid overusing one number and must make the limit of interpretation very clear. Fairness continues after scoring in the way results are communicated and acted upon. Um, Initial monitoring suggests that confidence in a score use increases when the construct is clearly explained, decision rules are explicit, and score meanings are communicated in accessible language. These are not only communication issues, they are part of fair score use that in Hamza test we're very careful about and we strictly follow. The risks observed usually very clear. Why? Because small score differences may be overinterpreted and academic readiness may be misunderstood because we are speaking about language, which is different than math or science. For example, if institutions look only at the overall level, this might affect the fairness. So these findings are initial. We presented them as patterns that require continued monitoring, not as final conclusions. Still, they point strongly to need for assessment literacy and user guidance. This slide here in front of you translates the validation argument into an educational pathway. A score becomes useful only when it leads to interpretation, as I said, decisions, action, and monitoring. The reporting model should therefore connect overall results and skill profiles to plain language descriptors, decision rules, targeted support, and follow-up evidence. In practical terms, this means moving from score reporting as a final product to score reporting as the start of a support process. For higher education, the goal is not simply to classify learners. The goal is to help institutions make defensible decisions and help learners understand what they need to develop next. And here, if you can look at this slide, we took a larger number, 3,547 test takers. And these descriptive statistics are based on, as I mentioned, a larger scale than the previous one I just showed. And they show that the broad shape of performance across the score scale. The mean total score is about 157. Reading and listening also again have the highest means, around 163 and 162, while the speaking has the lowest mean, around 147. This again reflects the receptive productive pattern of observation in the analytic sample. Writing also has the largest standard deviation, around 18 points, which indicates greater variability in test takers' performance. When we did the correlation matrix or analysis, this matrix provides useful internal structure evidence. Each skill correlates strongly with the overall score from approximately 0.78 to 0.85, which supports the overall score as a meaningful summary of academic Arabic proficiency. But at the same time, the skills correlate only moderately with one another from about 0.51 to 0.70. This means they are related but not interchangeable, which is good in a way. The highest inter-skill correlation is between listening and reading, which is consistent with their shaped or shared receptive nature. The pattern supports the reporting model, and overall score is meaningful, but a separate skill profile remain necessary because the skill provide distinct information. This is a score example. For example, if you, as I mentioned in earlier slides, that we gave a weight of 25% for each level, but the score of each skill is different, but the weight is similar, and we did the formula to help with that. And the evidence points to several refinements that we came across. First, score reports should present the overall score, the skill profile, and the plain language descriptors all together. The second point, institutions need concise guidance on how to interpret scores, especially when we speak about language proficiency for admission, for placement, and support decisions. Third, assessment literacy should be developed for the staff and supervisors or anyone who use these results. The last point, learner feedback should link scores to concrete learning action. The goal, again, is not to lower the standards, it is to make standards more transparent, more defensible, and more useful for learning. Here, the evidence, the evidence we presented today is cumulative, but it is not, we cannot say it is 100% complete. Several important indicators need to be added to strengthen the validity and fairness argument overall and for each specific skill. These include reliability and standard error by section and total score, rater agreement and severity evidence for writing and speaking, classification consistency around key thresholds, and the DIF or measurement invariance analysis across major groups where sample sizes allow. And we did this with the modifications we're making, we're getting more and more reliable results each time we have our test, which is a very good indication. Maybe I will end by opening the discussion around 4 questions, and I would be very happy to hear from you. Those 4 questions for institutions in general. How should the small score differences inform placement and progression? For the assessment specialist, what evidence most strengthens defensible cut scores? And for the learning support, how can skill profile drive targeted and fair support? And for reporting, how much detail makes a score report useful without overwhelming users? With Hamza test, We aim to move the conversation from what score is required actually to how can score support fair, defensible, and learning-oriented decisions. We welcome challenges, we welcome suggestions because they are exactly what strengthen a validation argument. Thank you so much for listening to our presentation. And please, if you want to participate in those questions, you have some suggestions, you have some concerns or questions, please do email us on the email in front of you. Thank you again, and hope to see you in another time in person. Bye bye.